Oh. Good afternoon, everybody. In a moment, we are starting the presentation. Please come over closely if you would like to hear more, or stay and feel free to work on your things if you are stopping by for a few moments. We'll be discussing the role of American universities in Ukraine's recovery plan and the role of Ukrainian community and extended Ukrainian community in North Carolina and United States. So we are both students at Duke University in the States, and we are very happy to tell you more about the work, what's going on there. Anton, thank you very much.
My name is Kayla Feracy. I'm a PhD student at Duke University studying environmental engineering and global health, specifically part of the US. And a lot of my research focuses on water quality, especially post-natural disaster when it comes to hurricanes, and tracking and testing and instantaneous sampling for bacteria and chemical contamination.
And my name is Dima. I'm also a student at Duke University, and I'm doing dual degree between environmental management and MBA at University of North Carolina. And specifically, we'll be talking about two directions. Direction first is what's the role of university in building up, raising awareness among locals, because United States is such a crucial partner of Ukraine, and we had incredible support from American people. And additionally, especially thanks to Kayla, we will be discussing how exactly in technical ways universities can support recovery of Ukraine.
So we'd be remiss not to mention some of the statistics we have around Duke. Duke University within the United States is ranked 6th, and nationally, outside the US, globally, it's ranked 9. This is important when we think about the alumni and the reach that Duke University students have, especially when we talk about their involvement and their knowledge around Ukraine and the research we can do and how they can affect policy. They have a fabulous law school, public policy school, and business school, and have gone on to have alumni that have been Rhodes Scholars, Nobel laureates, presidents, and have been successful CEOs in starting businesses. This is really intertwined when we think about spreading awareness for Ukraine and how that could be fostered in this kind of environment.
And this comes down to community of students. Duke has incredibly long stories interacting with the Ukrainian community in many very decentralized ways. Every few weeks you have something is going on, and it comes from different direction, from events at school where they invite some notable speaker, or we had Ukrainian women rowing team invited by Duke Athletics. And yeah, if you're coming by, please join us. We will have a short presentation and then questions and answer session. So we are looking forward to have more of your questions. As such, here recently we had an event, well, in January, where Anna Ackerman from Ecodia joined us and spoke with Erika Weinthal, one of the most international professors at the Duke Nicholas School of Environment. And we discussed specifications of Ukrainian recovery. Part of the class where I was a teaching assistant, students where they asked to, as part of the homework, they attended different events related to environment. So they wrote reflection, they made a homework on such topic. The other major event happened was in March, where we had a large conference organized by Duke Keenan Institute for Ethics. We had roughly 9 women flying all the way from Ukraine, taking care of all the logistical questions, organizing multiple panels. And one of them was specifically focused on seeds and soil, as we discussed the soil effects of war on soil. Also, the event was kicked off by screening of Oscar-winning movie 20 Days in Mariupol. Other events also include University of North Carolina. So just to give you a sense of North Carolina architecture, we are living in triangle area. It's a triangle between three major cities. Chapel Hill, where University of North Carolina located, Durham, where our Duke University is, and the state's capital, Raleigh, with NC State. Those are three major state universities, and each of them has a Ukrainian association or Ukrainian club. We usually go Friends of Ukraine just because Duke has roughly 2, maybe up to 5 Ukrainian students, and UNC has twice as much. But we are still talking about one-digit number. So here, Anna and Sofia did a fantastic sirniki workshop. They were making cheese pancakes, and there were lots of students attending, making pancakes and eating them. Which brings us to a broader North Carolina Ukrainian community, not only students. So we have Olena Kozlova, who is the head of Association Ukrainians in Carolinas. And as we say there, we have Zelensky, we have our ambassador, Oksana Markarova in DC, and we have Olena Kozlova in North Carolina. So because she's managing so many items, she's doing such a great job. If anybody has any problems, they always refer to her. And the first question she asked Ukrainian Olympic rowing team when they visited us was not like, how was your row? It was like, how much humanitarian aid can you bring? Скільки гуманітарки з собою привезете in suitcases? So she's very active both locally there and also bringing different aids to Ukraine as much as possible. And finally, we are moving to specific technicalities of Ukrainian recovery. And Kayla was doing a fantastic job on water quality and analysis of water quality.
Yeah. Beyond the community reach that Dima has touched on within the community at Duke and around the Triangle area in association with Ukraine, I think it's important to look at what scientists can do, especially in the universities, to support research that can be extended to help in the recovery. We can look at parallels between some of my own work. My family's from Puerto-Rico, so we had devastating Hurricane Maria in 2017, which knocked out about 70% of the island's water treatment plant. This is very important to my research, especially because I do post-hurricane water treatment, hence the reason I got into it. Beyond that, we lost electrical grids, and it's been a huge financial burden to rebuild. A lot of this, we can draw parallels between different places in the southern border of Ukraine that have lost places like the Kakhovka Dam, especially the breaking down infrastructure, roads, pipelines, water treatment plants, and how that may cause lasting effects in their water supply lines, their water treatment. Within Puerto Rico specifically, we originally had a calculation of 64 deaths post-Hurricane Maria. And according to a Harvard study, it's over 4,000. And that is after effects. And this is caused from diseases, from waterborne diseases, lack of infrastructure, access, and residual issues. A lot of this can happen, water treatment anywhere. And this is something that's really important to look at when we look at different areas of Ukraine that's struggling, that have been isolated and may not have that water quality or have to deal with flooding, agricultural runoff. And there are many researchers that study this within Duke or within UNC or NC State. We have professors within the Nicholas School. Abner Vengosh is one of them. He studies water quality internationally. We can track sampling, and a lot of this can be used in correlation with each other and with the universities. Specifically, we can look at the Kakhovka Dam. A third of Ukraine's freshwater storage were destroyed as a result. And if you have taken a step around the pavilion, you'll see it highlighted, especially when we look at the resiliency and the willow trees and the seeds, which they have a lovely display over there. You can understand that this has been a major loss for hydroelectric power, besides water quality, and how this may result in increased emissions and difficulties when rebuilding, especially given the remote ability to access it due to ongoing Russian aggression. A large part of the water quality issues could also flow down, although we don't know the full impact yet. There could be bacteria, chemical, agricultural contamination. This could contaminate groundwater. So collaborating with researchers like myself or other people in my department who do data tracking, sampling. I particularly do instantaneous sampling, so I've created samplers. These, for instance, can be sent there for people in the community to track and test the water themselves. Even particularly through this whole process, Dima has connected me with a researcher named Julia, and she worked for the Red Cross. She's also done research in Ukraine, and we've had long discussions about the kind of collaboration that can be done between Duke University or other US universities and researchers and scientists in Ukraine, and how we can best support each other.
And now we are coming to the question how you can be involved. And again, there are two answers to this. First, if you know anybody who would love to go to visit North Carolina and Duke University, please connect us. We would love to have them visit us, talking to students. Like now we have our classmates sitting in the first row who've been in multiple schools across Duke. I remember we had a US ambassador to EU coming to Sanford School of Public Policy. And as he was involved into EU right in the moment of Trump and Zelensky scandal a couple of years ago, he gave us his reflection on the events and spoke deeply and caring about Ukraine. We also had the former NATO secretary coming to visit us. So we had multiple notable guests at Duke, and we would love to continue this. And having multiple Ukrainian clubs across several schools, we are working to streamline the process and to organize everything so we can take students and attendants from all three schools plus extended community. The second way is more technical, more specific, such as applied learning. Currently, Duke is making lots of effort to increase applied learning on campus related to climate and sustainability. Similarly, there is enough interest to have effort between specific projects in Ukraine, whether in water quality like Kayla was doing, or more related to policy, and connect that to current students. And it can be either part of class or something more substantial like master project or thesis. As such, thank you very much for your attention, and thank you, North Carolina, for supporting us. Now, please, this is time for questions. Please feel free to ask anything. We would love to get engaged. Also, we have students. So if you are coming from Ukraine, you can meet the students in US. We are having incredible variety of countries represented here. Or if you're in Ukraine, you can learn more about the work. Questions? Karima? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Karima. I also attend Duke University. I was wondering if for someone who doesn't have a lot of background and insight into Ukraine, could you give some more background on some of the specific challenges that Ukraine is facing related to climate change and how, so because I am an engineer, so if there is a engineering project that I could tailor to meet the climate needs, could you go a little bit more in depth into what some of those are? I know we touched a lot on the water quality.
Yeah, that's an excellent question about specific needs and climate change relationship. So a few days ago, Ukraine presented a low carbon development strategy until 2050, which is planned and underlined multiple details, including agriculture, focus on environmentally friendly, sustainable way of agriculture. From climate change perspective, Ukraine has part of territory being steppe, so it's very fairly dry, vast area with incredibly high yield of soil. That area will be affected mostly by drying water. The northest part, we have more forest, so that's where there's a vast majority for planting forest, exploring possibility of carbon credits and carbon sequestration. And of course, there is Kakhovka Dam destruction, which Kayla mentioned, which is a unique case because nothing had happened in the world in the past of similar scale.
Yeah, I think it's also important to zoom out a bit. If we look at COP29, especially in February, that NDCs are due, it's going to take a lot of work to do recovery. And it has been taking a lot, and that involves construction. And as an engineer, you're probably aware that concrete is a huge emissions. It's going to take water. A lot of the renewable energy places have been a source of like targets within Ukraine. So we mentioned Kakhovka Dam, specifically it's a large hydroelectric dam too, and that's important to know that like while it may not directly cause an abundance of emissions, it will reduce the ability for renewable energy, and that will have some intertwined effect within climate change.
Thank you, Karima. Well, I think we have time for one more questions. Anyone else? Oleg, do you have any questions? I really enjoyed our discussion about details of financial structures in Ukraine, and we have students here who are much more deeply focused on those financial structures.
Доброго дня, мене звати Олег Лачук. Ну, я питання на українській задам, Діму попрошу перекласти.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Oleg Lachuk. I will speak Ukrainian and we will figure it out.
Насправді дуже цікава інформація стосовно співпраці, гарно організовуєте, ви молодці.
This is great information about collaboration. Thank you for organizations. Well done.
Я хотів запитати наступну річ. Як ви організовуєте співпрацю з українськими університетами безпосередньо для того, щоб надати свої пропозиції чи включитися в план відбудови України всередині? Тобто, як відбувається ваша кооперація з українськими університетами, якщо відбувається, то з якими? Для того, щоб працювати з планом відновлення безпосередньо.
I would like to ask and learn more about collaboration specifically with Ukrainian universities, how the recovery and collaboration happening from within Ukraine and which universities. So that's a great question. I was going through all the projects and when we've done, and I couldn't include all of that because it would take us the entire day. But specifically, we have Kyiv School of Economy. Duke has organized multiple projects with them, and several professors at Duke worked closely with the Kyiv School of Economy. They provided a fellowship where they sponsored several faculty members who are located and housed in Ukraine, and they gave them scholarship. They organized some online events where they had application and applicants who would attend online schools. We had Timofey Brig. Do you know Timofey?
Тимофій Мілованов маєте на увазі?
Yeah, the rector of Kyiv School of Economy.
Так, я, власне, там теж мав нагоду трошки повчитися якийсь свого часу.
Yeah, I also had Oleg is saying, I also had the pleasure to study there, so I know him. So Timofey visited Duke and visited UNC. We had dinner. He met Ukrainian community there. He was telling more that how he's signing memorandums with different schools, but memorandum being like a very first step, which doesn't necessarily means anything, but it's already an excuse to do something like next year in the future, and they try to get on board as many universities as possible.
Ну, це насправді дуже класно. Дякую за таку інформацію. А зустрічна пропозиція в мене є.
Well, thank you very much for this information. Have a returning proposition.
Це ми більше говоримо про економічне відновлення, про речі, які пов'язані в цілому з економікою, бо це школа економіки. А можливо би цікавило університет Дюка налагодити співпрацю з профільними університетами.
So now we are discussing more like economical development because we are talking about Kyiv School of Economy, but perhaps Duke will be interested in more specialized technical collaborations.
Для прикладу, у нас є університети спеціалізовані по лісовому господарству, наприклад, Львівський лісотехнічний університет або університет природокористування, який займається аграрним сектором. І в процесі відбудови, я думаю, що налагодження по цих напрямках співпраці було б дуже актуальним для України, власне, в контексті сьогоднішньої нашої дискусії, сьогоднішнього питання.
Yeah, such we have Lviv University of Bioresources and Agriculture, Forest Resource and Agriculture, and National University of Life and Environmental Science of Ukraine. I studied there for a little bit, so more like technical collaboration between those schools. I think we can discuss it afterwards. It was a great conversation.
Okay.
And unless any other questions, last question. Well, fantastic. Thank you very much for attending, for listening. It has been a great pleasure.
Thank you.